Welcome back, everybody, to WCS Season 2 Premier League. I'm joined with a different analyst at the couch area. It's Nathanius. How are you doing after been casting the past 2 games?
I'm doing great. We've had some really cool games so far. As a Terran player, any other Terrans, if somehow you've only just tuned in, you missed out, go watch the last series because it was awesome.
Yeah, speaking of the last series, we just saw Bunny defeat Petraeus 2-1. I know that as a Terran player yourself, you must have been so excited and riveted watching that series.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of both of these guys. Like, don't get me wrong here. Like, I've been following Petraeus a lot. I've been cheering for him for a very long time. He's someone that's taken a really long time to get where he is, like actually being recognized as a good player, making his first Premier League appearance. But, that's when you find out how tough Premier League is.
Exactly, and this is it. This is the elimination match of this group. If Petraeus wants to keep his lifeline going, he needs to step it up right here, right now, against Kane. Now, of course, we saw Kane in the last season. That was his debut in Premier League. We saw him do very, very well, getting to the round of 8, which is very impressive for his first debut in Premier League, and I'm sure he doesn't want his road to stop here.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you look at these two guys going in a Zerg versus Zerg, because the kind of players that Petraeus would have been practicing against, living in Europe, you're looking at ZvZs again, Snoot, Targa, and for the most part, when I think about those kinds of players, you get a lot of like standard strategies. Kane is the kind of guy that will play, I imagine, more aggressively. He learned from guys like, from players like Mooskill, Scarlet, Hendralis. Those are the types of players, so perhaps throwing a little bit more cheese here and there. But Petraeus, life on the line in his first season. You have to be happy that you get this far, but he's not the kind of guy to give up at this point.
Exactly, and getting here, it's upsetting. He was just up against the best performing European player. I mean, that's not an easy first player to be up against in the group. So we'll see how he fares against, it looks like Kane is still jamming away over there. So he really needs to step it up here. Petraeus has been performing in possibly every online tournament lately. He has a lot of games under his belt, but of course it's different playing up there on the main stage.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? You have these situations where you are not as used to being on a stage, having the lights around you, having people here watching you in person, and being surrounded by all this production. It's much more comfortable to play StarCraft from your room on the computer that you play hundreds and hundreds of games on every month. That's the difference between people that are new to the Premier League and the veterans.
Well, both of these guys' lifeline in Premier League is on the line. We'll see which player will be able to make it out. I believe the casters for this game will be Greetorp and Huck. So guys, take it away.
Thank you, Smix and Nathanius. Yes, it is Greetorp and Huck. A very interesting duo. Could you believe it that we met over 10 or 11 years ago?
Yeah, I always tell people that, like, what is it, originally Keeper or...
Oh gosh, I have no
Nex?
clue.
I can't
It might be
remember.
Nex, I think.
Old Brood War teammates.
Old
man.
StarCraft Brood War guys. We just used to nerd out. We used to be practice partners together. Then
Same team, everything, yeah.
it was great times, man. Really, really great times. And all of a sudden, 10 years later,
Fate has brought us together
Fate
again.
has brought us together again, and we are here casting together with a really exciting ZvZ, of course, Kane versus Petraeus. These two guys, I would say I would not expect either of them to be in the losers bracket, although based on how it actually worked out with Bunny and Petraeus actually being matched up against each other, I mean, one of them are bound to actually go down here, but on paper, in statistics, I would say Petraeus is considered the favorite here. Kane, slight disadvantage, but not by too much.
Yeah, I think Petraeus on Alugalak has like a 65% win rate or something in ZvZ. But they know each other's styles well. They're both teammates, so that's going to play a lot into this matchup. ZvZ is a lot about mind games, depending on the maps and the different build orders, full timings, hatch, everything like that. So it's going to be really, really interesting. Kind of curious of whether they're going to stay to the Roach style. I know Kane sometimes likes to use mutas, but because they know each other so well, you really don't know at this point.
Yeah, it really depends how greedy they want to be, because a lot of times Roach styles can counter Muta styles, but only if they don't play super greedy, because that Roach Warren does cost 150 minerals with just naturally, plus the 50 minerals and the drone that you're losing. So a lot of opportunity cost there. It just depends how safe and how greedy they want to play, and that's all part of the mind games. Hiding bases, hiding Roach Warrens, hiding your Baneling Nest, everything can play into this series. Spawning in the top middle position as the blue Zerg, it is My Insanity's Kane. And over to the bottom side as the red Zerg. It is his teammate, My Insanity's Petraeus.
So actually, I had some time in between the last match to sit down and talk with Kane, and I actually found out he's listening to a combination of Maroon 5, Kanye, and believe it or not, Justin Bieber. That's what he's jamming out to, man. Yeah. So if he wins, he chose correctly, and if he loses, I guess he's gonna have to mix it up next time. Listen to some DMX or, you know, I don't know.
If he loses, I definitely know the tracks that he has to get rid of. That's for sure. Nevertheless, I mean, you know, it's important to note that Kane is the type of person that's very affected by his surroundings. We were talking about like how, you know, he's the type of player that's newly adopted this model of trying to relax, trying to stay safe, trying to be confident, and it just gets very difficult to manage when you're on like a downwards momentum, I think.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. It's like the new style he's trying to do, like the vacation and everything. Petraeus specifically told me that he didn't want me to bring this up, but if Kane loses, you know, it's because he's been on vacation, you know, and if he wins, he's just that much better of a player. He doesn't have to try.
It's brutal.
But Petraeus, Petraeus in his own right reminded me kindly that he was in DreamHack France on vacation too, since I think he lost the first round. So they both have come off some detailed vacations, and they're both hopefully going to be pretty relaxed, and they can actually show us like some top-level ZvZ here in this matchup.
It is the kind of thing where it's like expectations are kind of low for yourself, so you can be like, you know, whatever happens, happens. I've already made this far. It's
we can take those shots, man.
I know.
I'm a pro player. I can say what I want, I guess.
I can't do the same though. Okay. Even though I normally speak my mind no matter what.
Yeah, of course. So they're both playing pretty safe here, opening pretty standard, not too risky on either side. One
thing to note is how both of them are not going for gas at the ordinary 3 minutes, or I would say anywhere from 2:30 to 3:30 or 3:20. Normally you need that metabolic boost out super fast, but they're playing the map Vani Research Station. If you ever see a Zergling all-in, you could just plug 2 queens at the ramp, and you have everything defended pretty nicely.
Yeah, that's one of the very key aspects of ZvZ early game, is just how big will your choke be at the natural, and because of obviously this map, it's going to be 1 ramp, and they can easily block it, so they don't really necessarily need that speed, and they can drone up a little bit harder.
Early Zerglings will start to traverse the map, although Kane actually... okay, he's trying to put damage on these Zerglings in order for his queen to be able to basically one-shot or two-shot any of these Zerglings that try to actually enter. It's a lot of denying information in this early game stage. It's a lot about understanding what your opponent is capable of. Are they doing Zergling bailing all-ins? Is there a +1 roach timing or something like that? These are things that you really have to consider, and you have to be able to defend against. Zergling will get in here and sees that there's no extractors up. That's actually a really critical thing, making Petraeus play a lot more efficient against his opponent, because now he's like, okay, there are no all-ins that can ever happen to me. Drone non-stop.
Yeah, all day. And he didn't really have to sacrifice that much either. Usually you have to sack an Overlord, or you got to commit a lot more. But at this point, I mean, 2 Zerglings, not really a problem. And they're both going to start actually hunting for Overlords, sending 2 queens each to go do a little search party, I guess.
And it looks like he will find one. Man, these guys are... He can do this safely, too. He knows that there's no Zerglings with Metabolic Boost out in the field, so he feels very, very content in being able to push out. Looks like Kane is actually doing the same exact thing, hilariously enough. But Kane is the one playing a little bit more greedy, because he hasn't been able to see whether or not his opponent is getting that Metabolic Boost up and might have Zerglings out in the map. It's like these guys have kind of scripted each other's builds before. They know exactly what each other are doing in the ZvZ.
Yeah, that's what's the weird part when you play someone that's a teammate, someone that you play a lot or you watch a lot. They both know each other's style really, really well, and it's going to be really interesting because there's just so many mind games that come into ZvZ. Obviously, you want to keep droning as much as you can, and you want to have that slight edge going into early, mid, and late game. But at this point, they've been pretty evenly mirrored, I would say, doing almost exact same thing at the exact same time of each other.
We do have the deviations of the first 100 gas going to Metabolic Boost in favor for Kane and a later lair, whereas the lair goes down immediately for Petraeus. So he's looking to get that tech route, get double evolution chambers, and go from there. Kane is going for tech, or excuse me, basic tech or hatchery tech a lot faster. But it's just, or excuse me, Petraeus is. I'm confusing the names now. That's all right.
It's okay. And they're both still like similar paths. The +1's evenly timed. I would say Petraeus, the only big deviation here is he's actually building a good amount of Zerglings. So he may or may not be able to do a decent amount of damage. And it's going to time really well because Kane is throwing down his 3rd hatchery just now as well. So Petraeus most likely going to be able to cancel it and hopefully, for Kane's sake, not be able to do more damage. He does have those 2 queens already blocking the ramp, so he's well prepared for this.
Roaches are on the way out right now. I mean, really what matters, I think, the most is going to be getting those roaches out to do this 1-1 timing. That's what you're really centering around. This hatchery is, I hope this can go down. Let me throw it down just in case it goes up, and I'll be able to defend it if my opponent is playing super defensive. With some transfuses, these Zerglings won't be able to do anything. The roaches pop out way, way in advance, and everything's set to go. Actually, you know, Kane doesn't actually mind seeing all of those Zerglings. He's actually very happy knowing that, hey, I have 1-1 popping out here pretty soon.
And those aren't drones.
Those aren't drones.
Yeah, and they're both going into roaches, and Zerglings obviously aren't going to help that much. I mean, Kane is down, what, 3 workers now, but he has a decent amount of roaches still, and more importantly, he has the +1 carapace as well coming in.
Yeah.
So going into the mid game, he's going to have 1 cycle advantage on the upgrade. So he's evenly matched.
So trades are going to obviously be beneficial for Kane.
Yes.
But Larva is the advantage for Petraeus. He's had that 3rd for a lot longer. He's starting to mine off. You can see he's not getting a lot of drones on there either. He's just sticking to, staying on a small amount, slowly droning up while adding on as many roaches as he can. So he's just getting 1 or 2 here and there. Everything looks very standard, though. I love how Zerglings are just patrolling outside of the base. He's not playing defensive, not just doing nothing with them. He's saying, hey, if you move out, I'm going to punish you, kill your 3rd.
Yeah, what do you think about what they're going to transition into next? Infestors, perhaps, or Hydras, or try to get, a small clump of Mutas, maybe, to surprise the opponent?
Definitely not Mutas. I think Mutas is the wrong choice just because of the upgrade emphasis, and you're never able to bank up that many Mutas. I think, there's a couple of main ways that you can do this. You can go Banelings for, speed Banelings. You can go for something like Infestors to lock down units, get better concaves, and you can go for Hydras. On this map in particular, I think Hydras are the absolute best. You need to be a lot faster. You need to move around the map. Infestors take a long time.
Yeah, of course.
They need to get like those the double shots. Of course, it takes a long time. You need another 75 energy to be able to do that. So a lot of times we're just going for Roach Hydra, and we're gonna have big Roach Hydra wars. It looks like their advantages and disadvantages are starting to
play out
even
a little bit. Yeah, we're seeing that. The one weird factor is that Kane's actually banking a good amount of gas. I'm wondering what he's going to throw that into. He's actually got a Hydra Den building, and Petraeus, like you were saying, is opting for the Baneling Nest. So we'll get to see how that plays out. But Kane starting his +2 carapace and his +1 range a little bit quicker than Petraeus. So if he can hold out until both of those kick in, he'll have a good advantage.
I think generally it's considered that Baneling speed is slightly better against Hydras, but then Banelings obviously are terrible against Infestors because they get double shotted with those fungal growths. It really comes down to the splits, of course. If there are perfect splits, then the Banelings do practically nothing, but I think in general they peak so much faster. You don't get that critical amount of Hydras, and Banelings do surprisingly well against roaches if they're clumped up really nicely. As I said, it comes down to the splits, and we're going to find out very, very quickly on how Petraeus is able to start pushing out on his opponent.
Yeah, he's still banking a lot of gas, but the infestation pit's about to finish. So I guess he's going to pump out infestors as soon as that upgrade gets about, 50% done, and that's when you can start pumping them, and the timing's really well done. But it seems like both their upgrade cycles are going to come into play here, and actually, I don't see that many Hydras for Kane. Was it just a safety precaution, you think?
It might have been. He's
not getting range or anything, while Petraeus, on the other hand, is getting range.
Oh yeah, you're right. Wow, that's really, really interesting. I'm not sure exactly why he's actually doing that. I think it's maybe to, as you said, to be a little bit safe in case there's any pressure. He can get Hydras for himself rather than going for the Infestors. But these Infestors, oh man, they're so far away from actually popping on. This is what I was talking about. The Banelings actually hit much, much faster. There has to be really good splits, but even if that happens, I don't know if this army is capable of keeping up.
Decent connections, not the best from the Banelings. I don't know. Roach to Roach here. Kane's going to have a way better reinforcement point, I think.
Yep, more Banelings are going to stroll in here. That AoE damage actually does help out quite a bit. Numbers are thinning out, but it looks like the defender's advantage might start to actually be taking over here. Baneling's going to sprint forward again, and that's going to be enough to start to get that advantage in Roach count. Unfortunately, the Roaches on the far right-hand side were the ones that stayed alive the most. That means they can be chased out and segregated from the rest of the Roaches that are popping in. Meanwhile, a 4th base has been taken for Petraeus, so he is continuing to maintain that economic advantage. The question is, how is he going to actually use his advantage? He doesn't have stuff that actually lasts a long time.
Yeah, I think Kane is actually in good position here. Although he lost that fight, his Hive just finished, his +2 armor just finished, he's got a slightly better curve on his upgrades, he's got Infestors coming out now, so despite losing that fight, he did the right move, you know? He was willing to take those Roaches, run them to the side, buy a little bit of time, his economy wasn't hurt, and now, you know, what, he's down 3 supply? It's not really something he has to worry about too much, and he's got a better upgrade, he's got better tech. The only thing that he's lacking is a slower 4th base, but to be honest, he doesn't necessarily need it. Besides, maybe a little bit of extra gas would be nice.
It's going to come down, I think. Okay, so Petraeus has 2 options. He could completely wait off and not attack at all, or he can attack immediately while these Infestors, or rather the Roaches, aren't really up just yet, or the Roach Hydra isn't up, because if your opponent's on Roach Hydra Infestor and you're on Roach Hydra Baneling, it's a bad position. And it looks like he's going to go for option A. I didn't even get a chance to do option B. He's going to start pushing on his opponent, saying, hey, play really defensive, let me be able to get the right composition and catch up to you.
Yeah, but when they're both floating about 70 workers, give or take a few, it's not such a big issue. Like I said, the gas is a problem for Kane, but because you can supplement just a little bit more Roaches instead of Hydras, it's not a big deal, because he already has the Infestors out, and obviously that energy is going to replenish, and he has a decent fungal so far.
Definitely so. The Hydra's not really doing all that much, and it looks like the left-hand side flank is going to go to the favor of Petraeus, but the right-hand side, that's the one that's actually being... Wow, nice fungal growth on the left-hand flank.
To stall that left side, yeah, that's beautiful. And now, as soon as they get fungal too, they didn't re-engage immediately. They just kind of sat there, and it looks like Kane came far ahead out there.
Beautiful cleanup by Kane right there. And he's just going to push forward. He can actually push forward for the win, but he can take his 4th base here. I think pushing forward is a little bit risky because you have your advantages still in those Infestors. You know, the Roach Hydra is pretty similar.
Energy, right?
Yep.
He gets that energy back up. He has his +3 coming up. That would be a huge advantage for him. He could just sit back, take a 4th. He's almost maxed as is. It's not. He doesn't need to push the issue right now. And like you said, the battle played out. The Banelings didn't really come into play. And the Infestors, you know, the Fungals weren't, 10 out of 10, but they were pretty good. And that stalling that left side flank where he was losing the battle really paid off as he won the right.
Yeah, a lot of times, as we were talking about, you can just get the better concaves with the Infestors, especially on these open maps. You could back up and move forward as you choose, and your opponent really cannot. They have to commit no matter what, where the Infestors are detonating those fungal growths. Again, Petraeus is going to move out and try to push on his opponent.
He's pressured. He knows he's behind. He knows his opponent has Hive. He's worried he's going to fall more and more behind, so he's just trying to take a better engage. But at the same time, those Infestors had time to bank energy, and they have the Fungals, and the engage is going to happen. And Petraeus is going to be a lot of trouble here. It looks like Kane's winning both sides of the flank here. He's dropping Infested Terrans. His +3 is going to finish. This might be a great mistake from Petraeus.
Yep, and the best part about this is Kane is starting to bank up. He is getting 14 Roaches just to resupply there. Not going to push forward immediately, though. Really interesting.
I mean, his +3 is maybe half a minute away from finishing. He still has Carapace on the way. What is he really worried about? I feel like Kane hasn't scouted a lot, but that game sense, he feels that he's ahead. He knows that he has Infestors. He knows his opponent doesn't. Probably means he doesn't have Hive. He would get Infestors before he would get Hive, and he knows he has those extra upgrades on the way. Where is he behind? There's no rush for him.
Yep, I agree. I guess the big thing is a lot of times in Zerg vs. Zerg, if you don't actually take your advantage right away, your opponent is capable of defending against later on pushes. It really comes down to whether or not Petraeus wants to go his own Infestors rather.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's not opting for that. Now, we do have double Spire on the way from Kane. That's going to be his win condition, apparently. He doesn't want to be pushing with Roach Hydras, Roach Hydra Infestor into his opponent all too soon. Or it might just be he's waiting for energy, What do I do while I'm waiting for energy? Let's prep a hive tech.
He's really watching these two chain links. He keeps clicking on them. He keeps clicking, and he sees, like, he wants to know where is he at in the upgrades? Where is he at in the game? And I feel like he knows he's way ahead. I mean, he has enough money. He's already up the hive tech, and he's up being able to throw down 2 spires, and he's up 2 upgrade cycles in the +1 or +3 and the +3 carapace. And you know, he could push the issue here. He could probably win this game, but he doesn't need to. He's just playing safe. He's, you know, this is they could be eliminated after this set.
That's
so
right.
He wants to make sure, you know, he could get into that next round, and hopefully, I know, well, in his sake, he hopes to play Jim.
Look at this, by the way. He's at 206 out of 200. He actually did
the little trick,
the spire or spine crawler trick, where you make a ton of spine crawlers, you use the food up, and then you cancel them immediately.
I still call them spines, or sunkens sometimes.
Sunkens?
Yeah, wow. I have that problem. I call Citadel Council, everything like that too. It's a hard habit to break.
No, I feel it. All right, well, he's moving forward. This is actually a pretty large Roach army. Going into spine crawlers not going to help out too much. And look at this. I love the patience from Petraeus. Actually, this is a pretty grave mistake from Kane, because I feel like pushing into the spine crawlers might have been a mistake, but
Petraeus had a lot more Hydras, but plus it's, you know, 2-2 versus 3-3.
Oh yeah, that's the big difference here.
He's gonna trade out here, but he has the better bank, he has the better upgrades, he has 2 spires. Is he really in any danger? I don't think so.
Definitely not. Looks like just a huge slew of roaches are going to pop out here. I like this, the burrowed roaches that are going throughout the bases.
Yeah, I mean, Petraeus is playing from behind. The big engagement, he won it as decisively as he could have. And at the same time, he's trying to, you know, stall Kane out, buy time, kill some workers, you know, and he's doing the best he can. Can he do enough to come back in this game, though? I'm not sure.
I mean, he needs to stall for so long, right? There's such a big upgrade lead with that 3-3
his 3-3 just started.
It
just started a little bit ago. And then even then, Kane has options with the double spire.
I think a lot of times that breaks the stalemate of Roach Hydra against Roach Hydra. Like, you're just able to push into your opponent. I love these roaches. It's very similar to what we saw with Bunny versus Petraeus on this same exact map, where instead you're using burrowed roaches to accomplish the same stalling tactics. But Kane's going to have none of that. He's pushing forward with his army. There are a bunch of fungal growths there, but wow, actually the incorporation of Vipers will help out a lot. Viper plus fungal growth combination. We're going to see how it works out right now. There it is.
Wow,
and he actually locks down a lot.
Wow.
Hydras galore are actually going to DPS this army down so fast. Actually locks up some of the infestors as well. Infested Terrans will go down, and Kane will actually have to evacuate the first successful attack from Petraeus.
Yeah, the defense was perfect there. Perfect. The blinding clouds, fungals, everything. That is textbook, like, as good as it gets for Petraeus. And he actually has a big opportunity now to push back and do damage. But I guess he still wants to wait for that 3-3. Only problem being is Petraeus is getting his Greater Spire, and Kane still has his Ace in the Hole. He has these 2 Spires. They're already upgraded 1-1. At any moment, he could pump out a good amount of Mutas as long as he has that bank. He has the gas. He's had the gas since the beginning of the game. He has 1,600 ready to go, but he needs the minerals.
Yeah, I think, as you said, the bank is so important, but like, it's because he's had so many really inefficient trades, and I still think he wants to go for Greater Spire. You know, you can go Mutas, but I just feel like there's just too many counters.
Maybe Corruptors to counter the Broodlords?
Well, yeah, of course, you can go just air, switch over to air. Great blinding crowds yet again. Great uses of these Vipers, and it looks like Petraeus is actually going to wrap up another nice win over here, denying a 4th base while maintaining a gold. GG gets called out. Petraeus, man, I have to say, he outplayed his opponent.
Yeah, it just came down to engagements. Like, Kane had everything he needed to win the game, and just those blinding clouds. The Vipers were the key in those engagements. I don't know if Kane's just not used to seeing that. That's some kind of new trick that Kane didn't expect from Mac, but man, the Kiwi really brought his A-game at the end there.
I think so. One of the big things, like, I think Kane just is being a little bit too scared to use his advantages.
Yeah, he kind of sat. I mean, he was ahead. He was ahead like 80% of that game, but he just, this engagement. Wow, look at this.
I mean, this was a defining engagement that really solidified
This is where
Kane's
got
position.
ahead, yeah. And then, I don't know. He had everything he needed, but he couldn't close it out.
So, like, what goes into that? I guess it's that pulling the trigger well enough, and a lot of people don't have that capability of being able to do that. Are there
killer instinct, I guess?
Yeah. Is there any reason why you wouldn't actually push across in your mind, like coming from a professional gamer standpoint?
I think he could have, especially when his 3-3 finished. He didn't really have anything to lose. Even if he took a poor engagement at that point against 2-2, as we did see, it was still okay. But when you wait until they get Hive, you wait until they get Vipers, you don't have control anymore. If they hit the perfect bungles, if they hit you with the perfect Binding Cloud, you can't move, you can't do anything, you know, you lose options. It's in your opponent's hands to outplay you. Where if you attack before that, and they only have Roach Hydra, and you have Roach Hydra and Festers, you all of a sudden have that control. You have the advantage, you determine your own fate. And I feel like Kane he wasn't ready. I mean, it wasn't a bad choice, but at the same time, he did let his opponent come back into that game.
Yeah, it's definitely not the Kane that we've been used to seeing. I feel like, you know, we kept talking about this confidence issue of, you know, he is, or I think players in general are very confidence-driven type of people, where if they lack confidence, they're not going to be winning, or in the long run, they won't be winning. And I think we're really seeing a lack of confidence in overall Kane's playstyle so far today. We're seeing a lack of his capabilities of just being able to make the right moves at the right time when they're the most decisive. And
too many vacations. He's too relaxed. He's just
it might be, man.
Doesn't have that killer instinct anymore.
Because some people just say, you know, sit back, macro, just maintain, and
yeah, when
and
you're ahead, get more ahead.
When you're
that day 9,
but
day 9
sometimes getting more ahead is just pulling the trigger, man.
Yeah, I agree. I would definitely like to see him be a little bit more aggressive. I think he knew where he was at most of that game. I don't think he knew that he could lose. I don't think he considered the Vipers, to be honest. He's all smile still, man. Cute kid.
I know.
He's relaxed.
He feels it. He knows that it shouldn't.
He needs to shake that little hand warmer a little bit more.
That's top 10 control,
I hope
bro.
someone got a gift from that first VOD. If not, I'll have to go back and get it myself.
Oh man, it'll be on the SC2 highlights, man. It'll be the best. All right, well, we are getting into game 2. It is match point right now for Petraeus. If he takes this game, he will eliminate Kane in the round of 32. Starting in the bottom right-hand position as the blue Zerg, it is My Insanity's Kane. Representing Canada. And his opponent, representing New Zealand, the red Zerg, it is My Insanity's Petraeus. And again, Petraeus, man, like, he is a ladder warrior. I really respect guys that just put all their practice into laddering and doing show matches and a lot of online cups, because it is a ton of work to go through so many open qualifiers and spend your whole day doing them. I know, like, you've had some experience with that.
Yeah, of course. And in general, all these ladder monsters, like I remember when even DRG way back, 2010, 2011, those glory days, those good old Huck days, he was a no-name at one point, DRG, but he was a ladder monster, and all the professional players, they all respect and know that these kind of players like Kane are eventually going to have those results. And now Petraeus, yep. He's put in the work, he's put in the time, and now it's his first time in Premier, but he's already showing that he can display that world-class play.
I remember the days when I was playing against Petraeus.
Yeah.
When he was down in my MMR. I was like, oh, are you named after the general? He's like, no. I was like, okay. Okay,
good
that's
talk,
good. Well, good luck, bro. And then all of a sudden, a couple years later, I see him over here, and he's actually ranked like 6th in the world for non-Koreans.
Yeah, he's very good. I mean, even recently at DreamHack, what was it? Revolver beat MMA or something? And he, once again, top 6 GM player on EU.
Yep.
So these ladder monsters, you might not see them so much in tournaments, but if they can overcome their anxiety and their nerve issues, and they can bring that kind of play from home to an event, they can do really well. It's just, that's a really big what if, because playing from home where you're comfortable and you do it every day, and then going to a studio where it's a little colder, the chair height's not right, screen's a little different, can you really adapt?
Yeah.
But he's showing that he can.
Definitely so. I mean, even his match against Bunny, it really could have gone either way.
Yep. It was very close. Very close.
Nevertheless, we do have a very standard opening coming out here from both these players. We're seeing the hatch pool and gas. The gas is at the normal times. This is probably the most common build that you'll see in a lot of the Zerg repertoire for all the matchups. And this is followed up by like metabolic boost and baneling speed. The main things that we need to look, or not baneling speed, just banelings, baneling nest. The main things that we need to kind of take a look at is when an evolution chamber is going to be dropped in the next couple of minutes, and if a Roach Warren is going to be dropped, because obviously that signifies a lot of aggression. Otherwise, it should just be like Zergling baneling for a long time here.
Yeah, but definitely from both players a more aggressive opening. I mean, when you have these larger ramps at your natural, like we said last time, last match, this isn't Bonnie. You know, there's a lot more options when you're on 2-base versus 2-base than before. So we may see that. We may see a quicker ZvZ game here than, well, you know, the standard, very maxed out ZvZ we saw last game.
Yeah, it definitely could be the case.
And both of them actually mirroring each other a lot this match as well. Doesn't look like, can he get in? Kane gets a Zergling in.
This helps.
And
you get to see just the gas count.
Yeah, he sees the gas is still being mined by 3. He still sees the pull. Everything is good to go. Did he actually see the? Did he see the baneling nest as well?
He didn't. I don't. Let me see. Nope, he didn't.
Okay, just barely. Like that's a really random spot to put your baneling nest.
A lot of times you do assume that though. Like the baneling nest is probably
if
going
they're
to be
still
dropped
mining
here.
gas and everything.
And of course we can see the baneling nest over on the other side. So both of them, as you said, are mirroring each other. I think this is a situation where Kane is actually pretty happy to get that circular scout on the main base, because a lot of times if you're hiding something like an evolution chipper or Roach Warren, it's going to be in the main base. It's not going to be over at the natural, just because the natural is easier to scout. But now Petraeus is going to go in with his own 2 Zerglings and try to actually see. Oh, a block attempt. One more shot. Oh, that's really important. Sees the lair going down. A lot of times, making sure that you can see what your opponent is doing, especially something like a lair, it allows you to actually have a huge amount of Zergling baneling pressure that's going to react to this. And you can see a lot of Zerglings underway, 16 in production, and I'm expecting just endless amounts of waves of Zerglings, obviously putting on baneling pressure, and just keeping him on 2-base while he slowly starts to get his 3rd, drone it up, and get spores.
So you're thinking Kane's going to go, what, like 2-base muta? Or?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of relegated to it. He still can get a Roach Warren, but if you get a Roach Warren, it has to be when the lair is 50% finished.
Yeah.
And then the Roach Warren times out perfectly. Baneling's getting, Kane's not watching!
Oh my.
Kills 5 drones. That's huge.
That's pretty bad, yeah. That's
For a Zergling Baneling all-in, that is gigantic. Still, anything can happen. We're going to find out how good Kane's micro is.
Ooh. Good trade there with the 2 banelings, but still, is it... Looks like he's going to hold, but even the 5 drones, I mean, it's pretty rough right now. He and worse is Petraeus knows exactly what he's doing, right? He can pretty much guess it's 2-base Spire, and he already has his 3rd hatchery up. He can get a little bit more production. He's going to be able to put on a lot of pressure here. I wish Kane would move up his spine a little bit. If he's going to play the ramp, let him play the ramp, but have the spine there.
That's right. I think so. And I love what Petraeus is doing also. A lot of people are like, well, if you know you're up against mutas, why are you still trying to attack knowing that, you know, they're going to die pretty soon? No, you actually tried to trade out, force Kane to build as many banelings as possible to reduce the bank of both minerals and gas, but most importantly gas. For every 4 banelings that are made, that's -1 mutas. That's how you're going to be able to defend against.
Oh wow, huge flood of Zerglings
mutas.
getting into the main. And it looks like Kane had banelings on the way, but just not quick enough. A queen pops up, but he's gonna lose this queen, and then he's gonna lose some drones most likely as well.
A lot of drones. Of course, that baneling is going to be morphed. It stops. Oh wow, really
good
nicely
micro
done
so far. Yes.
Yeah, he actually morphs one of the banelings, and then of course the other banelings are going to crash into that. Finally, Kane is able to clean this up, but another swell of Zerglings are on the way over.
He only lost 2 drones at the end there. So not so bad from Kane. A pretty good defense considering he had, what, like maybe 20, not 20, like 15 Zerglings in his main base.
Yeah. I mean, that's the most ideal situation that you can have, I think.
Yes, and I really wish he'd move that spine up, though. It's just been kind of sitting there, not really doing as much. If it was up closer to the ramp, it would have got a lot more extra hits there. Denied some banelings. Some counter pressure going on. The constant tug of war of Zerglings and banelings. It's going to change soon, though, with 6 mutas popping out very soon.
That's right, man. Queens are out in the field, though. You can see the connections are up as well. This Zergling baneling probably will not be able to do anything, as there's just too much defense here. Really well played by Petraeus so far, as he's going to start sporing up. Spore crawlers do an immense amount of damage to these mutas. The mutas ordinarily will be able to kill a lot of overlords too, but you look at the map and Petraeus has done a great job at being able to keep the Overlords off the
wow,
map.
he just threw down his first spore, though, at his natural, so he's going to lose a few drones here. He has enough queens to defend, so he's not really going to lose the game to these mutas, but he could take game-ending damage if he loses too many drones.
We'll find out. Nice little transfuse there. A little fancy.
I mean, he knew the mutas were going to come.
Yeah.
I wish he would have got the spores a little bit quicker.
It really is him playing, I guess, a little bit greedy.
Yeah, and he's like Kane's doing a beautiful job rotating between base to base to base, and these queens every time they got to walk back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But the aerial range from base to base isn't that much.
Yep. Well, it looks like the harvester count is actually evening out quite a bit, 50 to 50, so that helps out.
Petraeus feeling the squeeze here. He's going to throw up a Nidus. We're going to see a queen all in here.
It definitely could be. Like a Roach Queen. That's one of the main responses that you can do against these mutas. The other response you can do is obviously Roach Hydra.
Oh, he's going to spot it. He's going to spot the Nidus. So he knows what he's playing against, and he's not he doesn't have too many mutas. He's not committing. He's not over-committing to it. He's actually building a lot of roaches at home, so he could defend this pretty easily. And he has all information that he needs, and he has good Overlord spread on the map still. So Kane in pretty good position all of a sudden.
Really nice, actually, multi-attacks going in. The third base was under fire a little bit there. Had to pull drones. Meanwhile, the queens were trying to defend Nidus as best as possible. It was being transfused, so everything's all good to go there.
I don't even think Petraeus is going to pull the trigger on the Nidus at this point.
I don't think so either.
Like, there's
just
no
too
way.
obvious.
Yeah, he knows everything. He's already making roaches. But the thing is, with Kane's build and what he's making, you know, he rules the sky. He's already making roaches against what Zerglings or Banelings or roaches anyways. So he's already defending against whatever Petraeus can do. And he's getting his own third base up, droning up a little bit, getting upgrades. So in every way, he's in good position.
Yeah, I mean, the supply is way ahead for Kane, actually, which is super surprising considering the beginning stages. I mean, all that hard work that he did with the Zergling Banelings, that Petraeus did with his Zergling Banelings in the beginning stage, kind of was nullified just by 6 mutas.
Yeah, he killed way too many drones. I guess Petraeus' internal clock, as far as when those were going to come out, was a little off. And Kane behind in workers, but up, what, 30 supply? So he's going to definitely try to do some damage here.
He's pushing for the win right now as queens move over to the side. Now, it is still really difficult to actually push into this because the queens give a lot of longevity to these roaches. If he gets good transfuses off, we're going to find out right now as there's a nice surround coming in as the roaches from Kane are going to try to pressure up. You can see the transfuse is being used really effectively, but is it going to be enough? It looks like yes. Kane is going to be pushed back, so it just shows you how well those queens can deal with, you know, mass anything. But another swell of roaches are going to push forward. Is it going to be enough as those queens had to be displaced for those mutalisks? I like this. There's an overmatch.
Yeah, he's got way too many roaches. His +1 finish. They're on even upgrades. He's got way more roaches, and he's pulling these queens. You know, he's got the mutas killing the extractor. He's got the roaches attacking the queens. And
great isolation. Look at this. The mutas are actually going to come over to the side where there's only one queen over there and be able to put damage onto the roaches. Still, he needs to be careful as the roach count for Kane is starting to thin out. Queens are going to be pulled forward, and the right-hand side flank is starting to die, but again, those mutas are reigning supreme, and they're going to be able to sprinkle damage onto this army as Kane starts to move away.
Yeah, he loses the right side, but the left, he was killing drones left and right.
Very nicely played by Kane. I mean, we really thought that the game was looking very bad.
He was behind. Yeah, yes. He was behind, especially after the Banelings killed about, what, 5 drones?
5 drones.
That was rough. But
additional kills from the Zergling Baneling. I mean, that was a situation where almost the reverse of game number 1, where Kane was the one that was fighting from behind. Petraeus, all he had to do was slightly defend against it. He would have been in a good position, but, you know, of course he didn't, and Kane was able to actually pull the trigger this time.
Petraeus was a little too aggressive, and I think a lot of the smaller skirmishes, like, you know, trading, you know, 2 Banelings for 3 Banelings and 2 Zerglings, or, you know, those slight edges. Kane won a lot of those small, scrappy battles, and then obviously when the Mutalisks came out, you know, it was not great for Petraeus. He wasn't prepared for some reason.
No. Just a little bit unfortunate for Petraeus, but now we're going into the match point, which is probably the toughest position, I would say, to be in for WCS round of 32. As, you know, just one small mistake can determine whether you get knocked out of the round of 32. And we go back to, you know, like, the whole idea of mutas and using queens to actually defend against it. You know, we were talking how, like, the Nidus play is going to ordinarily be good, but to defend with queens, it just doesn't have that much, like, huge power. you know?
Yeah, and he was chasing the mutas, you know? The mutas can go from each base a lot quicker than those queens. I would have preferred if he left two or three queens at each base, you know? Be willing to lose one drone and defend off the mutas, but he's losing 5-6 drones every base, constantly chasing these mutas that are just going to keep running, you know, natural to main, to the third base, back to the main. He needed to defend a lot better against those mutas.
Or even, you know, you have the economic advantage at the beginning. Just spore up.
Yeah,
Get 5 spores.
Well, you don't even need 5 spores. You have 1 spore and like 1 or 2 queens each base. He's not gonna lose much.
Yep.
At least he's not gonna lose as many as he did. But yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to step into game number 3. Ladies and gentlemen, match point between these two players. Winner will move on into the decider match. Loser will be eliminated from the round of 32 Premier League. In the bottom left-hand position on Expedition Lost, it is the blue Zerg, Kane. And his opponent, also his teammate, it is the red Zerg in the top right-hand position, Petraeus. My Insanity producing some really, really great talent in the scene so far, and really looking forward to seeing what they're able to accomplish in the future.
You mean Root producing and then MYI taking, or MYI producing?
Brutal.
Go on ham, man. I can say the things the other casters can't.
Well, they still are cultivating a good scene.
Oh, okay. Yeah, of course.
Both teams.
Yeah, of course. I love both teams.
I think.
I mean, I don't have room to speak. I was like the ultimate betrayal of Liquid, so come to the dark side, everybody.
It's true.
And now I'm a caster.
I don't think Victor would ever take you back.
No, are you kidding me? Victor loves me too much.
All right, guys. Well, again, match point. It's going to come down to the wire. I'm actually very interested to see if these guys actually go for the 14 pool or they go for the 15 hash. And it looks like Kane going for the more defensive route. I don't think either player has the massive advantage. Petraeus gets like an extra drone from this. That's it. It literally comes down to maybe like 30 to 50 minerals, I think.
Really?
It's something
Jack attack statistics here, man. Go on him.
I do a lot of math, man.
Okay.
You know, math's like my favorite pastime.
Makes sense with the poker and everything now. Okay, good for you.
That's all I do. All day, every day. Of course, this is going to be followed up with a hatchery. There is a variation that you can do that's like a 14 pool, 14 extractor, and you go for really fast speed. So one of the main things that we're going to see Petraeus look for as soon as he sees the timing of this hatchery is this going to be like a 5-minute, 30-second all-in, or is it going to be like standard, 6-minute metabolic boost timing?
Do the rocks play a lot into ZvZ on this map, or?
I wouldn't. Okay, I would say so if we see roach-based plays. Obviously, we can see that roach-based versus muta-based.
But is it going to get to that point?
I mean, it definitely could. I think in general, though, muta-based plays on this map, for that same exact reason, is not the highest EV play that you can make.
Ooh, those poker terms.
I think it's supposed to be the roach-based play on this map.
It makes sense with the back rocks and all the pathways, your third base being a little bit further out.
And you can take your third base a lot quicker, knowing that there's really nice choke points that you can defend. Defender's advantage is obviously something that you always have to consider. On a map like, I would say, Vani Research Station, you don't have that easily defendable third base. It's just out in the open. Your opponent can always get a surround, whereas you can use the terrain a little bit better. You can fight near the rocks, or you can fight near any of the ramps in ZvZ when you're going roach-based armies.
Kane getting a full scout, so he knows exactly what's happening. I think Petraeus feels pretty safe. I mean, knowing what he saw with the Overlord, he doesn't get a full scout, but he knows where he's at, and going to go into pretty normal, like nothing too cookie. Like they no quick pulls, no super cheeses, just normal ZvZ openers from both players.
I mean, maybe the weirdest thing is the fact that Kane went like a 30-second delayed metabolic boost. If you really want to get
but it's not going to play too much into it, I think. Petraeus throwing down the Baneling Nest as well. But Kane immediately throwing down a Spine. And it's in a lot better position this game than it was last time. And last time he defended well anyway, so he should be in good position here.
So we really have to see where this develops. I think
another quick layer.
Yeah, I was going to say if we're going to see any all-ins, we would have had like an evolution chamber being popped down already. So, well, evolution chamber does go down right now. So this could be like a +1 speed roach timing. This is really good at cleaning up a lot of super fast third base type of plays where your opponent is just taking a third base on Zerglings and they're hoping.
Two Evos. What is this? This is like a defensive build more for the wall, right?
Yes. You don't necessarily need to use both Evos. You can.
You can, but it's a cheap wall, basically. Yeah.
It's a very cheap wall. And that enables you, like, you're spending 125 minerals, the 75 for the Evo, 50 for the drone, and you're basically guaranteeing yourself that you can easily defend against Zergling all-ins while not having to make Zerglings for yourself.
And Petraeus, once again, a kind of similar game to last game. He's going for the quicker third hatchery, Kane going for the faster lair, and he's walling up and being defensive. Now, the question is Petraeus going to play into it? Is he going to be aggressive again? I don't think he is. He's getting his lair, he's droning up, he's getting gases. So it looks like he wants to play a more defensive, counter-reactive.
Yeah, this is not a map where you can do the same thing that we saw last time. The ramp is just so far away from the hatchery, I would say, in Echo?
Yeah.
Not Echo. Echo. And it's just a situation that just doesn't feel good. Whereas in this position, it's a lot easier to go and take your hatchery. It's a lot easier to go and make the wall. So I think that's why we're seeing it. Roaches have to be thrown down for Petraeus, but the big problem is it's going to be that Glio reconstitution. You can see there's a good amount of time, probably a whole minute, where Kane has an advantage in being able to get that concave super, super quickly. But as we were talking about, it's how well can you get that defender's advantage. And that's really unfortunate for Kane, man. Like, Kane wanted these roaches to actually go around and surprise his opponent. It's not going to be the case anymore.
Yeah, Petraeus already starting to pump out roaches themselves, and Kane just continues to build roaches. What is he, like, waiting for speed? He wants to hit that +1. He does have a slightly quicker +1. So if he hit the right timing, if he waits for that really crisp roach timing, he could do damage. Is he going to win the game? I don't think so, but he could squeak out an advantage, possibly.
Yeah, the big thing with Glio Reconstitution is you can actually, it sounds weird right now, but you can kite roaches. And what I mean by that is you're going to back up and then get a better concave, or you're going to push forward and get a better concave. No matter what, you're the one that dictates.
Kane he's got the +1, he's got the roach speed, he's chasing down these roaches, and this is that timing. Can he win the game? Probably not, but he is going to take cost-efficient trades here.
That's right. I mean, the defender's advantage, having that production cycle so close to your attack, or the defense rather, is going to help out quite a bit. And the Queen's coming in here to help out with extra damage. Not going to be able to transfuse just yet, but is able to stop the pressure, blows down the rocks, and stops any further. Yep, I think so.
Now he feels pretty safe. And Kane immediately getting in the +2.
But Kane hasn't actually started droning up. He hasn't considered using his third base whatsoever. That's a big problem. And we do have a supply block coming out from Petraeus right now. Oh, no, we don't. That's just a huge slew of overlords. Never mind.
And Kane's starting to drone again. So we're going to go once again into a more standard mid-game. Kane's going to break down the rocks in the back, it seems. And he's going to, continue to pressure opponent, and he's going to try to multitask, He's got that +2 on the way. Once again, it's slightly quicker than max. And at the same time, he wants to keep his opponent off guard. Right now, it's about, can you play faster? Can you play better? Can you be efficient as you're doing this? And it's a lot easier for Kane to keep poking at Petraeus than it is for Petraeus to defend those pokes. Because Kane has, if you broke down the rocks, you'd have 3 options of attacking attack. The third base, the main, and the natural. And he just wants to make sure that Petraeus is as stressed as he can. And as a player.
This is the advantage of going Kane's build order, in particular, getting the fast lair and Glio Reconstitution. Yeah. You assert yourself on the map faster. Yes, you do lose some minerals and gas, but now, as you said, you have those 3 threats, whereas your opponent only has 2. You have map control. You have the capabilities of pushing and making your opponent scared. And when your opponent plays scared, they do a lot of inefficient things. They don't drone up fast enough. They get too many of one unit.
Maybe a supply block here
maybe
and there.
A supply block, yeah. Like, a lot of things come into play that just put yourself in a better psychological state than your opponent.
Yeah, and he has this, he's got Burrow, he's got Tunneling Claws, he's got, plus his upgrades are slightly faster, and that's where we're seeing those advantages. Petraeus isn't in trouble, but at the same time, when Kane puts on that pressure, he's not too worried about what's going on at home. He gets to see, exactly what Petraeus has, and he knows Petraeus isn't going to be cheating. He isn't going to be playing super greedy and droning, because he has that threat at his door. And now that he put on that pressure, he's just falling back, and he's working on his own stuff. Because there's so many paths, is that why we're seeing these Tunneling Claws, you think?
I think so, yeah. It's just
It's easy to, you know, send 5 or 6 roaches here, 5 or 6 roaches here, burrow them, start killing drones, and just, once again, put that pressure on your opponent. Make them work for it.
That's right, and it's the power of the defender's advantage. I can, on this map, much more so than I would say like Vani Research Station, I can send 5 roaches, and they don't mean as much because of the chokes. Whereas Vani Research Station, everything's very open. Now, this gets a little bit scary because...
I don't think either of them wants to head-on engage. I think it's because Kane's +2 just finished. He's like, all right, I'll play your game for right now, but I don't know.
Interesting.
Now he's down that choke. Petraeus can't just come down there. If Kane just moves to the other side, he can use that choke to his advantage. He knows his upgrade's just finished. He knows he has that slight advantage. He clicked on Petraeus' roaches. He knows he has that slight upgrade. But now Petraeus' are ending. Petraeus just got his +2, and he's getting his Carapace just now. So if Kane takes it engage, it's going to be pretty even.
All right, well, they're going for it, and it looks like Kane has a couple more roaches than his opponent right here, right now, but anything can happen.
Oh, he does the burrow.
That's really bold to do, man, because an unburrow really affects you, and a lot of times you... the hotkeys for burrow and unburrow can get a little bit awkward, but that's to just maintain as best as possible, get into a better position, as you can see.
And now the map's going to come into play here.
Yep.
Kane just can keep going back and forth. And at home, is he worried? No, he's not. He's calm. He's in control here. Petraeus has to defend.
Oh, and that Spore Crawler actually affecting Kane a little bit right there.
Yeah, messed up his concave a little bit.
And I think Kane actually has to evacuate from this situation because there's just too many roaches. He will go ahead and back up from there. These guys trading back and forth. You can see they're actually not looking to go Hydras or anything because they're favoring that mobility from the roaches and, of course, the roach burrow to actually come out a lot more than Hydras. You know,
Petraeus with a good defense, though. He's on top of it.
Yeah.
He knows what's happening. I would have liked to seen Kane behind this, started at +2, you know, started maybe Hive, something Infestors. Because he had the money, he had the ability, but it's actually Petraeus. While being attacked, while defending the burrowed roaches, he's taking his 4th base. He's staying calm, staying stoic. So crisis management, A+ so far for Petraeus.
I think so, man. I definitely think so.
And it's kind of evened up, you know. Kane has a slightly bigger bank. He has a slightly bigger army. But at the end of the day, if you have roaches and you got the defender's advantage, you're going to be able to hold on. Kane's squeaking in some roaches, though.
We will be able to kill Queen here and potentially...
drones, maybe?
Oh, they're just roaches, actually, all the way over there. But it looks like he's just keeping his opponent busy, and it makes sense because Pathogen Glands is going down right now. And it looks like the switch is to Infestors. Obviously, I love Infestors in this particular scenario.
Oh, and a big engage happening at the same time.
A big move command, a big misstep by Petraeus. That's the type of thing that could be game-ending. Kane actually takes a pretty sizable advantage, and now he's going to have to force...
Dustin Browner! No.
Dustin gets 0 kills.
That never happens. That never happens.
0 kills.
Not at this level. And at the same time, he's still harassing in the main base. Looks like Petraeus is eventually going to clean it up, but Kane with a better defense, you know, Petraeus slight misclick, and all of a sudden he's still harassing, he's still killing stuff.
Drones came off the
Yeah,
it's a little bit weird.
I mean,
a little misclick. That's
they're
really
aggressive.
unfortunate. It looks like, you know, honestly, we talked about Petraeus being under pressure and him never really performing as well as we know he's capable of. It could be those nerves coming into effect and actually forcing, or not forcing him, but making mistakes, forcing him to make mistakes just because it's such an important match right now.
Yeah, Kane's pulling and he's attacking the 4th. He's got Burrowed Roaches going into the main. This is the multitask. He's pressuring his opponent. He wants him to make mistakes, and he still has, you know, a good amount of roaches in his main army still. So he's just looking to put the pressure on, and he wants to tech it home. Behind this, he's got Hive, he's got +2, he's got Overlords, he's got Infestors coming. You know, he's doing everything he can, and you know, Petraeus is going to clean it up. Of course, he's not going to die to this, but at the same time, you're poking the bear, and the bear is not loving it.
No, it's not. You know, I really love how Kane has actually developed this game, because if you think about it, all these attacks are done because of how he started, you know, 6 minutes and 30 seconds into the game. Like, you look at Kane's rocks, they're not blown down. Petraeus doesn't have the same capabilities and the same attacking opportunities as his opponent. And that's, I think, making all the difference.
Yeah, Kane's been in control the whole game.
Yep, that's right. And now Infestors are added. We're going to see whether or not Infestors are able to overtake Hydras. In general, you know, I always think that Roach Hydra spikes really, really hard, a little bit quicker. But, you know, you give it time, and Infestors are just the clear way to go for all of the cases.
Yeah, it's going to be on Kane to kind of finish this game out. He has all the tools. Once again, he's getting +3 quicker. He's got Banelings on the way. He's got Baneling speed on the way. He's got Infestors. can he close it out? Does he have that killer instinct in this game? He needs to have it. He's on the brink of being eliminated.
Yep.
He needs to go for it.
That's what he lacked in game number 1.
And he's killing the 4th base. He's doing all the right moves. Can he get it? It's going to be close. No, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, I don't think so. Very, very close, as you said. But it just buys more time for those infestors, man. They're just gaining more energy. And let me tell you, there's a big difference between 4 and 8 fungal growths that pop down here.
Yeah, and this is risky. I really don't think Petraeus should break down the back rocks, kind of force his opponent out of this choke, because
I agree.
Kane would love it. He would love it if Petraeus moved down this choke and
here.
could fungal and Baneling bust him.
Oh, look at that. Actually baiting out one of the fungal growths, and 2 burrowed roaches are going to be able to get up here, but, well.
I think he could force his way up there, to be honest, at this point. I mean, but he has +3 in the way. He doesn't need to.
Yeah,
but
he definitely could, but when you do something like that, you're kind of negating the power of your fungal growths, because you're not giving, you know, like a superior advantage for yourself. Yeah. And a lot of times the whole point of getting those infestors is to go for that, you know, huge line versus the huge line. And I like what he's doing instead.
This little guerrilla warfare here. This little, he sends out a little stealth squad. And I mean, at home, he has the tools. He has options, because infestors aren't just a roach. It's, you know, fungal. It's controlling a choke point. So he can still defend at home while doing this. But he needs to, yeah. Petraeus opening up this back path at the same time. This is what we were talking about. He needs to put the pressure on Kane. Kane needs to feel that burn, and he's just doing that now. At the same time, he has, you know, 7, 8 roaches on the other side of the map. This could be Petraeus' chance here.
Yeah, this is...
And he's guarding that ramp.
No.
It's putting Kane in such a hard position. He can't move up.
I mean, this is a big mistake from Kane, but a great execution overall from Petraeus. Now putting pressure on that 4th base, too. Kane trying to put pressure over at the natural as well, but Kane doesn't really have a way to go back up into his main base. You know, a lot of times how you are able to overcome the infestors...
He's sacking it at this point. He started a layer in his natural. He's got +3, almost finishing. He's got Carapace, you know, 40% way done. He doesn't want to risk it.
No.
And Petraeus is making the right moves to come back into this game. At the same time, Kane has that little squadron, that little stealth squad that has done damage, but he lost his main base.
Okay, let's talk about just the harvester count so far. It looks
Hit me
like
with the
even.
numbers.
They're still even overall. They're still maxed out. If we look at the units tab, though, 15 Hydras and 4 infestors to only 3 infestors from Kane. So Kane has not been able to keep up. And actually, Petraeus has the advantage in army composition. That can actually come to affect him right now. We're going to find out. Fungal growth on top of the Banelings. And it looks like Petraeus does have a good concave, but there's just not a lot of units here.
Yeah, he had a lot of roaches in his main base trying to kill that little stealth squad.
Oh, no. And this might just be too much. I mean, units were just scattered all over the place. Kane able to push forward, now breaking apart the concave of Petraeus. Kane, will he be able to deliver the final and killing blow? That's going to be the big question. It's very difficult. Spine crawlers are there. A nice fungal growth to keep all the Hydras in place. He's actually going to target a lot of them down first. Hydra's trying to sprint back, but it looks like Kane actually just has an insurmountable advantage at this point, although roaches are coming in from behind.
It's so close.
Wow, this is kind of crazy. Of course, Kane trying to do his absolute best. Burrowed roaches are going to pop up yet again.
Kane has to do something, though. Petraeus is on, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 base, and Kane's stuck on 2.
But, you know, their income is actually, well, actually, I'm wrong. Their income is not the same.
Kane has the bank. He doesn't have the larva. He just doesn't have the bases to produce right. He's at 2k minerals. He's at 3-3. Petraeus is on 2-2. But Petraeus can reinforce a lot quicker. He just doesn't have the hatcheries.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And he's only on 1 base economy because the natural has mined out. Wow! What looked like a good position.
It seemed like Kane was way ahead, but all of a sudden, he just can't make the units. You know, if you could take that 1.2k, if you could turn it into that many roaches, he could have closed out this game, but he just can't do that at this point.
That's like 30 supply right there.
And as time goes on, he has the upgrade advantage, but he just doesn't have the infrastructure anymore.
Yeah. Wow, such a huge shape. Getting caught out of position, I mean, that's what ZvZ comes down to a lot of the times.
Yeah, losing your main base, losing your 4th base. He did damage, but, you know, still, Petraeus, he's got the hatcheries, he's got the income. As time goes on, he's going to pull farther and farther ahead, and I think Kane's, like, he's losing his grip on this game.
A very chaotic series, Mr. Huck. Everything is just spiraling out of control for Kane at this point as Petraeus is starting to muster up some sort of attack now. I mean, really, the ball's in his court. How to close out this game, as we can see, the supply is 180 to 120. It really shows in that income, as Kane is about a base down in terms of income than his opponent. So just a very tough situation. Kane trying to do absolutely anything that he can, but the army supplies are also showing 140 to 90. Kane
and he's going to have to cancel his, what, third base? His new third base? I think Kane just didn't realize, you know, he felt like, you know, I have the upgrade advantage, and then all of a sudden he realized I got 2K bank and I just can't spend it, you know? He didn't realize that he was down so many hatcheries and he didn't have that reproduction, and all of a sudden, you know, he had the advantage in the battle, he was winning all the skirmishes, it looked like he might be able to close out the game, but Petraeus could just reinforce so much quicker.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just like, Kane still has a shot. If he could get maxed and he could engage before Petraeus is 3-3, maybe. But it's really hard
tough,
at this point.
That's really... I don't think that's even mathematically possible at this point. I mean, Kane's doing everything he can to stay in the game. You can see it's 160 supply to 200. And we did have a situation like this before on Vonnie Research Station, where Kane was the one that was in the reverse spots, and he did end up losing. So anything can happen,
like,
for sure.
Kane doesn't have the options Petraeus had. Petraeus made that happen with the Vipers, you know?
Yep.
That was his ace. He used it, and he used it really well. Like, he has the same thing, except the worst army. He has less Infestors, less Hydras, and he only has, you know, the same amount of Roaches, maybe.
Yep. All right, well, it's going to come down to these concaves. It's going to come down. Nice fungal growth to start things off. Kane does not want to push down there. It all comes down to, oh, wow, the Vipers, I mean, as you said, they're in perfect time. They're going to push forward a great blinding cloud.
Petraeus can sit. He can sit down there all day. He just keeps picking off reinforcements from his now natural base. He can continue to push into his, you know, he's just containing him with this choke. And Kane's going to do a little flank, try to get around. Oh, he gets all the Infestors.
Growth.
Can he kill them? Can he close it? I don't know if it's enough right now.
I don't think it's enough. Blinding Cloud is going to stop this army from actually engaging fully, and now Petraeus is the one that's actually pushing his opponent backwards. Petraeus goes up into the third base now, which is the most critical.
The buildings are going to, you know, act as a choke point. Like, Kane can't take a clean engage here.
Yep. Hatchery goes down, but it's just not looking good for Kane as the supplies are spiraling out of control. 175 to 90. Not looking good at all. Kane going to do his last defense, but it will not be enough. Ladies and gentlemen, Petraeus will be the person to go into the decider match. GG.
Wow. Crazy game. Kane obviously being very smiley still, very manner, shaking his teammate's hand. You know, class act. Class act.
Definitely. I mean, Kane, you can always expect a really good you know, overall aura, and whenever you're hanging out with them, he just brings out the best of people, I think.
Yeah, I'm glad to see him still in good spirits, but what a crazy game, that third game. I don't think if you ask Kane, you know, how's that ZvZ going to go? I don't think he would have said he's going to lose in that way. I mean, losing basically because you didn't have the production, you didn't have the hatcheries, you didn't have the larvae.
I mean, if you took a look at the battles, he won like 5 battles in a row pretty decisively. And then it was just one.
He had control the whole game.
He did. If he had an Overlord on top of his rocks, he would have been able to see that movement. And, you know, it stinks, but it's like those tiny little things that you always need to be careful of, and it slips your mind because you've had the aggressive stance the whole time. You never had to worry about defending. You never had to worry about, like, burrowed roaches. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're being surprised. You're caught out of position once. You'll lose your main base. I mean... you said
I mean, kudos to Petraeus. We called it. We said, you know, he needs to take control. He needs to be aggressive. He needs to break the rocks. And then he broke the rocks. Look what happened. He all of a sudden put himself in the position to take a big advantage and then win the game.
I mean, it's a really intelligent play by Petraeus overall, and we're going to find out what he has to say about that series.
We're about to find out just now. Petraeus, congratulations. A very impressive series. Another 2-1. I saw you take a deep breath after that. I didn't even see you smile. What was going through your head?
Yeah, I don't know. I was very nervous throughout the whole series, so I was more just relieved. And obviously, it's not the final match, so yeah, I'm not happy or satisfied yet.
Well, speaking about the games themselves, Game 1 was absolutely crazy. It felt like you were actually behind for a majority of that game until you got a very, very crazy shot of a fungal and blinding cloud. So walk us through that.
Yeah, I mean, late game, ZvZ is very interesting. It mostly comes down to the engagements. So even though both Game 1 and Game 3, Kane had faster infestors than me, which usually is pretty good as a defender, I always had faster Vipers and just took better engages, I guess.
Well, speaking of that, in Game 3, it was also a similar situation where it felt like you were a little bit behind, and then you made a decision that switched the game around.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as much a decision as just a misplay on Kane's part. You shouldn't be letting, you shouldn't let your army get out of position like that, but obviously it was a high-stress game. Both harassing a lot, so it's easy to just focus on one thing and then not look at the minimap for a few seconds. So I got quite lucky in that regard. If I hadn't got into the main, I think it would have been a very difficult game.
Well, Petraeus, you are a player that pro players have talked about. They always speak very highly of you, but we haven't seen you have a breakout performance yet. It must mean a lot for you to debut here in Premier League.
Yeah, it really does. I've not had a lot of success in the WCS qualifiers over the past year or so. So yeah, it means a lot to make it here, and I don't really know what my expectations are, but I'm pretty happy with how I've done so far, and I really hope I can win the next series.
All right, well, thank you very much, and best of luck. Petraeus will be going up against the loser of our next match. It'll be the winner's match of Group A. We'll see if Bunny will be able to keep his title of Best Foreigner alive and advance in first place, or if Jim will be able to make the round of 16 for his third time. That's coming up after this break.